It was a quiet day at Tidmouth Sheds. Percy was all alone. Suddenly, Sir Topham Hatt's car pulled up. Percy was very surprised to see Lady Hatt. "Sir Topham is sick," she announced grandly. "He has lost his voice." Percy was worried. "I hope he finds it soon," he peeped. "Sir Topham has given me a list of jobs," Lady Hatt continued. "Listen very carefully. Gordon is to collect cars of china from Knapford and take them to Brendam Docks. He must pull the cars very slowly." "Slow cars," peeped Percy. "James is to shunt freight cars in the coal yard. He must be as busy as a bee." "Busy bee," puffed Percy carefully. "And Toby is to take visitors from Maithwaite to the Scottish castle. He must go as fast as Gordon's Express." "Gordon's Express," puffed Percy. "You're in charge now, Percy," said Lady Hatt, and she left. Just then, Thomas puffed in from his morning's work. "I'm controller for the day," peeped Percy proudly. "Do you need any help?" Thomas asked his friend. "Controllers don't need help," wheezed Percy, and off he chuffed. Percy found Gordon first. "Sir Topham Hatt has lost his voice," puffed Percy, "so I am controller until he finds it." Gordon was surprised. Percy tried hard to remember what Lady Hatt had said. "You must pull very slow cars," he peeped proudly. "Oh, the indignity," huffed Gordon. Percy had a lot to do and a lot to remember. Next, Percy found James at the washdown. "James, you must be a busy bee," he peeped. James gasped. "Do you mean I have to be painted yellow and black?" he whistled weakly. "Yes, James," Percy said sternly. "But why?" snorted James. Percy tried to peep boomingly. "Because I am controller." And then Percy puffed off. Next, Percy found Toby. "Toby, you must pull Gordon's Express," he told him. "Why?" Toby asked. He was very puzzled. "That's your job," peeped Percy boomingly. Percy felt very important. Later, Percy decided it was time to check on his engines. He knew that's what Sir Topham Hatt would do. Children were waiting on the bridge. Percy peeped hello. But the children were looking down at the track. Gordon was puffing very slowly down the line. The children began to laugh. "Look at Gordon," they cried. "What a slowpoke!" Then James stopped at the signal. The children laughed again. Who was that giant stripy bee, they called. Finally, Toby huffed in with the heavy express. He was very tired. Gordon, James, and Toby heard the children laughing, and they saw Percy watching. Gordon called out to Percy, "I am supposed to be the fastest engine on Sodor, not the slowest," he huffed. "I'm supposed to be the reddest engine," moaned James. "Now no one knows who I am." "I'm only a steam tram," Toby puffed. "The express is too heavy for me to pull." Percy was worried. He knew he had made lots of mistakes. Then Thomas puffed up. "What's wrong, Percy?" he asked his friend. "Please help me, Thomas. I can't remember what Lady Hatt told me. All the engines are doing the wrong jobs." Thomas thought for a moment. You must go back over your tracks, he puffed. You might see things that will help you remember. Percy thought that was a very good idea. Thomas and Percy pulled into Knapford Station. Gordon and slow cars, puffed Percy. Suddenly, Percy saw crates of china waiting on the platform. That's it, Percy cried. Gordon is to take the china to Brendam Docks. He must pull his cars very slowly. Percy and Thomas puffed into the coal yards. James must be a busy bee, Percy said slowly. There were lots of grumbling coal cars waiting to be shunted. That's it, James is to shunt lots of coal cars. So he must be busy as a bee. Finally, Percy and Thomas arrived at Maithwaite Station. Toby must pull Gordon's express, wheezed Percy. Suddenly, Percy saw a group of visitors waiting on the platform. That's it, Percy cried. Toby is to take visitors to the Scottish castle. He has to go as fast as Gordon's express. Well done, Thomas puffed happily. By the end of the day, all of the engines were doing the right jobs. That evening, Sir Topham Hatt came to the sheds. You have done very well, Percy, he boomed. I'm very pleased. And I'm very pleased that you found your voice, Percy peeped happily. Sir Topham Hatt smiled. And I hope you never lose it again, Percy added.
Every engine on the island of Sodor looks different. Can you tell who this is? This engine is a bright shade of green. It's an 042 tank engine. And it works on the Great Western Railway. Do you know who it is yet? Here's another clue. This engine is the number 11. There's only one engine on Sodor who is the number 11. Do you know who it is? Yes, it's Oliver, the little Western engine. Hello, Oliver.
One winter evening, Henry's driver said, "We'll be out early tomorrow. We've got to take the flying Kipper. Don't tell Gordon, but I think if we pull the Kipper nicely, Sir Topham Hatt will let us pull the express. The special coal they gave you is working well." "Hooray!" cried Henry. "That will be lovely." All kinds of ships use the harbor at the big station by the sea. There are passenger ships, cargo ships, and fishing boats also come here. They unload their fish on the quay. Some of it goes to shops in the town, and the rest in a special train to other places far away. This is the train the railwaymen call the Flying Kipper. Henry was ready at 5 o'clock. There was snow and frost. Men hustled and shouted, loading up the crates of fish. The last door banged, the guard showed his green lamp, and the Flying Kipper was ready to go. Come on, don't be silly, puffed Henry to the freight cars. The cars shuddered and groaned. Trickety-trock, all right. That's better, puffed Henry. Clouds of smoke and steam poured from his funnel into the cold air, and the fire's light shone brightly. "Hurry, hurry, hurry," panted Henry. They were going well. The light grew better. Signal lights shone green as they passed. Then a yellow signal appeared ahead. His driver prepared to stop, but the home signal was down. "All clear, Henry. Away we go." They couldn't know the switches from the main line to a siding were frozen, and the home signal should have been set at danger, but snow had forced it down. A freight train was waiting in the siding to let the flying Kipper pass, and the driver and fireman were drinking cocoa in the caboose. "The Kipper is due," said the conductor. "Who cares?" said the fireman. "This is good cocoa." The driver got up. "Come on, fireman, back to our engine." They got out just in time. Henry's driver and fireman had jumped clear before the crash, but Henry lay dazed and surprised. Sir Topham Hatt came to see him. "The signal was down, sir," said Henry. "Cheer up, Henry. It wasn't your fault. Ice and snow caused the accident. I'm sending you to Crewe, a fine place for sick engines. They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox. You'll feel a different engine, and you won't need special coal anymore. Won't that be nice?" "Yes, sir," said Henry, doubtfully. Henry liked being at Crewe, but was glad to come home. A crowd of people waited to see him arrive in his new shape. He looked so splendid and strong that they gave him 3 cheers. "Beep, beep," he whistled. "Thank you very much." I'm sorry to say that a lot of little children are often late for school because they wait to see Henry go by. They often see him pulling the express. He does it so well that Gordon is jealous. But that's another story.